Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to church on this beautiful day. The kids are going to share a Sunday school project and they're ready. They're already ready. That's okay. In terms of announcements for this week and the upcoming days, after church today, we have the Spirituality Reflection Group based on readings from Beverly and Venice Sacred Seasons. Even if you haven't read it, you're welcome to come and join us in the library at 11:15, where we ask you to finish the sentence, spirituality is. What you think? Also coming up this week, the finance team will meet on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Next Sunday is Fifth Sunday, which means what?
Potluck.
Potluck feast. So remember to bring something for that. Next Saturday is the Share Fest, and you'll hear more about that during Joys and Concerns. So you can sign up this week. We have 3 different projects to help church members here in town. Join with me in the invitation to worship. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you're welcome here. So I'm going to ask you, if given a dessert choice, would you pick a slice of cake or go for a piece of pie? Where do you stand? First, raise your hand if it's if it's a slice of cake. Okay, now raise your hand if it's a piece of pie. Oh, wow. Now raise your hand if it's both. Yes, indeed. Now, I have to say, some of the worst cake I've ever tasted were in 80 different wedding receptions. I'm sorry, but it was terrible. Most of them were too dry. Others were too just tasteless, didn't have any taste, and some were just mushy with icing. So, people remember paying for my wedding, but they remember for a strange reason. They remember for the reason, not that we got married, or the church, or the service, or the preacher. They remember because we refused to order wedding cake. We had 30 different Marie Calendar pies. And if you couldn't find something you liked, that's on you with 30 different types of pie. So the point is this. We have a strange Bible story today where food connects us to memory and to love. Food can connect us to memory and to love. So I'm going to start off with food on your thinking cap. Have you ever had an occasion where you remember an event because of food, whether it was a restaurant in London, or an anniversary, or a special day? What do you remember that connects to your heart to food? Any occasion you can think of.
My wedding cake was my birthday cake.
Your wedding cake was your birthday cake. You can remember that. Okay.
Ice cream was available.
Ice cream at a family reunion. What else connects us to memory, to love, that is food? Falafel in Costa Rica. Oh, I want to go with you. Sea bass in Mexico. Broccoli in China. Ooh. All right, we travel. Other things that connect us, any food that connects us to heart, to reality, to memory.
Fudge.
Fudge. Where? Anywhere. Anywhere. Okay.
My mother made it special.
Your mother's fudge. See? There's that connection to your memory, your mom.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else back here in the shy section? All right.
My oldest grandmother used to make borscht for Sunday dinner. I hated it.
What's your lovely grandmother?
Yeah.
Another bush. I mean, even the sound of that sounds awful, doesn't it? You want a bowl of borscht? No. I'd rather have a beanie. The best what? Lasst.
She made it for the whole day.
Okay.
Lasst is similar to our Norwegian tortilla.
Norwegian tortilla. today, think about the connection of food, love, memory, because it's there for all of us. Amen. And hold the borscht.
Good morning. If we could just harness this energy here. Please join me in the call to worship. For many of us, the sharing of food in our family was an expression of love. Some families could share more love than food. In the time of Jesus, they did not have the saying, "You are what you eat." In their world, you were who you ate with as friends. Jesus opened the table of friendship to God, the scorned, the judged, and the rejected. Jesus would welcome tax collectors, abused women, or people expelled from the Tennessee State Legislature. Even today, food is connected to friendship, care, and love. In our faith, hope, and love, let us see Jesus in the bread we share with others.
We know that. We know that.
I was told at a certain group of people that the kids should share what they've learned doing their scrubs because we had such a good time. So I'm going to start it off and then we'll pass it down and everybody will tell their part. Okay? I'm starting by telling you about the birth of Jesus. And he was born in Bethlehem after they had to travel quite a ways because they had to be counted. When they got there was no room anywhere, so they ended up staying in a stable with where innkeeper was kind enough to give it to them. And among those there were sheep, cows, and even spiders. The visitors that came were angels, shepherds, and 3 wise men.
Mary and Joseph and Jesus escaped to Egypt. When the wise men left, they told Mary and Joseph the king was looking for baby Jesus so he could have him killed. Jesus' family left Bethlehem and headed for Egypt. Mary and Joseph gave the baby riding on a donkey and Joseph leading the way.
What does it say?
They traveled almost about 500 miles, which would be the same distance if we had to walk to Denver and back.
Not going to do that. Jesus at 12 found in the temple. Jesus' family traveled every year to Jerusalem and Jerusalem for Passover when was 12. That was a little loose, so let me hold this one that way you can get grip on that one.
When Jesus was 12, family left with another people they were traveling with and they didn't notice for a long while was Jesus was missing. When they went back, they found him teaching in the temple. When they told
the concern,
he said what he did not understand. He was okay. He was in his father's house.
Jesus calls his disciples. Walking on the beach of Lake Galilee, Jesus saw Simon, later known as Peter, and Andrew doing what they did for a living, fishing. Jesus said to them, "Come with me, and I will make you a fisherman of men and women." They dropped their nets and followed him. That was a big animal. Jesus called the 12 men to become his friends and disciples.
5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Jesus was talking to people on the hillside about God. The crowd grew, and there became thousands who came to hear him speak. After a while, the disciples wanted him to eat because the people were eating, but Jesus told them to look for
Jesus came to Galilee and was baptized by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. When Jesus came out of the water, they saw the sky open up and God's Spirit looking down, like a dove came down. Then they heard a voice saying, "You are my Son, chosen and marked by my love." Jesus told the disciples to go ahead and go in the boat while he dismissed the crowd and take time to be by himself to pray. Jesus came down to the shoreline around 4 a.m. The boat was far away. A storm came up, and the disciples were scared. He told them not to be scared as he walked on water. They got to the boat. The wind had died down. The disciples worshipped Jesus, and they knew he was God's Son.
Okay, we're going to change this up a bit. I just want you to point to some of the pictures, because we're going to put these pictures up. So what do we have in pictures? We got...
This is the floor. This is the walking. This is the 12 disciples. This
Okay.
is the bread. And that's the
Okay. And what do we have up here?
This is also
So you did the 500 miles up there. Okay, good. Well, let's take these and put them where people can see them in the fellowship hall. How about that? Everyone, come on. It's like a Christmas pageant without the clothing, huh? Right. In terms of joys and concerns, it's a joy that Gail Mosher came home from the hospital on Friday. She still has an uphill battle. They're waiting for a plan for treating her cancer. So she still has a battle ahead of her. She's at least at home in a comfortable space. Peace to those alone. Under concerns, with Earth Day, we simply pray for our Earth. Oh my goodness, with the disappearing glaciers and other things, and winter tornadoes, it is not a good time for Mother Nature. Peace to those alone. We pray for those who are caught in the civil war in Sudan. This is what we learned this morning. We were able to evacuate all our diplomats and diplomatic corps from Sudan, but it is a place of chaos and civil war. Peace to those alone. And probably the weirdest thing I've heard this week was white Christian nationalists who are elected to the state legislature in South Carolina introduced a bill, it's not going anywhere, but they actually introduced a bill to execute women who have abortions.
Oh, dear
It is the most insane thing. That's why we had the book study last fall on the danger of white Christian nationalism. There are some crazy people in our state legislatures today. Who has a joy or concern to share? All right.
Well, I handed her the pad. She was signing. So, I'd like prayers continuing for my brother and my sister-in-law. I think I told you before, my sister-in-law had some severe problems back in January, and she'd been in a rehab facility. Well, the insurance company kind of booted her out of the rehab facility because she wasn't really making much progress, so she's now back at home, and I need aides and other people to help take care of her. It's just a bad situation.
We're going to fill survival kits after church in Fellowship Hall, so if you want to help, meet us there.
I'm Annie. I just wanted to say that I'm so happy this weekend because my daughter and her husband are coming from Washington State for a whole day.
Wow.
is Greg. I would ask for prayers for my son Nick and his wife Whitney, and surround them with love and send some angels, because we need some help. Amen.
I'm Deborah, and I'm asking for prayers for my sister Terry and Steve and Abby and Paige. Their son Taylor, my nephew, was found dead on April 17th. He was 33. He was an art student at CMU. He just had his senior art show. And we all need prayers. Thank you.
He's so long. And he is a beautiful artist looking forward to graduation.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I just wanted to say thank you for your prayers. I had an emergency gallbladder surgery about 10 days ago. And
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
In the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It was in a small island called New Caledonia, and we were there for about 3 days, and we flew to Sydney, and then we were able to fly back last Tuesday. So, and everything is going well. I think my doctor here. So thank you everyone for your prayers.
And how are you feeling?
Okay.
Good morning. I just want to make an announcement. First, I want to thank everyone who signed up to help us next week for the Share Fest. We'll be helping 3 different homes, and there's still time to sign up. I will pass this around during service, and we are also, there's a sign up for cookies. The organization also provides a host bag for the people we go to. They provide cookies, so if you'd like to donate cookies, they need to be here by Wednesday. There's a sign up at Fellowship Hall. And if you can help us on Saturday, we'll meet here at the church at 8:30 and divide and conquer. We have 3 homes, and it should be a fun day. Thank you.
I have an announcement. On Saturday, it is our puppy dog Delaney's first birthday, and I know it seems insane to have a birthday party for a dog, but Rachel and I have our birthdays in July, and it's either too hot or it's monsoon season and raining. So we thought we would start celebrating Delaney's birthday, and we will be at Rocket Park from 3 to 6. Come and join us for some snacks, some cupcakes, some beverages, and celebrate. Hopefully it won't be snowing. Have a nicer time of year than July.
And tell us the joy you experienced last week.
Last week I got to ski at Vail with 2 friends from Alaska. We got 8 inches of snow on Saturday, so Sunday morning we woke up to beautiful packed powder, and we skied 33,901 feet and 26 lifts. We rode every lift that was open. It was an amazing day.
Let us enter into prayer together. Source of life, we give you thanks for this rare jewel we call earth. We pray for hearts and minds and bodies to embrace the gift of this earth every day, whether it's walking a dog or skiing the slopes. Our hearts sing when we enjoy the majestic mountains and mesas. Our spirit feels more alive when we go hiking and taste the beauty of nature. Our soul is closer to your peace when we listen for the sounds of water and rivers or streams. We walk in beauty each day. And your Spirit encourages us to lift our heads to see the beauty in which we live. We pray for the courage to protect and preserve life on this earth. Enable us to see beyond the allure of consumer capitalism, to capture the wonder that cannot be measured by gross national product. We're grateful for people of every faith and no faith who are working to preserve our environment. children. Inspire us to work for justice. Justice for our own earth. We pray this as we follow in the steps of Jesus, who taught us to pray by saying, Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
This morning, the girls' stroll showed us stories of Jesus feeding the crowd with fish and bread, climbing mountains, and walking on water to reach his friends during a storm. God's beautiful creation overflows with water, sunlight, and rich soil to grow our food. When we share the fruits of this earth, there is more than enough for all. There is a table of plenty set by a God who loves every one of us. At this table, all are fed, and still there are gifts overflowing into the world God loves. Our giving supports many ministries, including those who intended to feed the hungry. Let us gather our gifts together and offer them to God in gratitude and praise.
Praise
Our scripture today comes from Luke, chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. Now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place there in these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things took place. Moreover, some women of our group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us that they had indeed seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see him." Then he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and then enter into his glory?" Then, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures. As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if he were going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, because it is almost evening and the day is now nearly over." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, blessed and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he was talking to us on the road, while he was opening the scriptures to us?" That same hour they got up and returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and their companions gathered together. They were saying, "The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road, and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread.
There is a reason why you don't hear about people popping the question and getting engaged at Burger King or Taco Bell. That would not be special. You want to go to a special restaurant and splurge if you pop the question. Food connects us to one another, to people. Why? Well, it's kind of difficult to say no after steak and lobster. At least in my understanding of steak and lobster. For others, it would be different foods. Food connects us to memory, and food connects us to positive feelings. We remember special birthdays. We remember anniversaries. We remember crazy wedding receptions with 30 different types of Marie Calendar pie. We remember, oddly enough, broccoli in China. We remember all these things because they were connected to our heartstrings. They connected to our memory. They connected us to who we are. And it's interesting. Not just taste, but smell does that too. I can't smell hyacinths without thinking of my grandmother's yard and the coming of spring. Food connects us to memory and to positive events in our life. And I try to advise wedding couples because nowadays, wedding receptions and weddings can cost more than starter homes in Dayton, Akron, Topeka, and Midwestern cities. And I'm not exaggerating it. In Orange County, last year, the average cost of a wedding was $82,000 in Orange County. Now, it's a very rich part of California. But $82,000 is more than a starter home cost in Dayton, Akron, Topeka, and many Midwestern cities. And you have to say, why this extravagance? Why this foolishness? And if you talk to them, it's all about creating a memory that their friends will never, ever forget. And a little bit of one-upmanship there, too. Food connects us to our heart. So here's this weird story. Two followers of Jesus. And they see Jesus. They don't recognize him. They talk with Jesus. They hear his voice. They don't recognize him. Don't connect with the voice at all. They walk together. Take a walk. Hike. After miles, they still don't know who this is. They sit down and invite him to stay the night and still don't know who the stranger could be. But then, this odd passage says, something opened their eyes. What opened their eyes after all that? The way he took the bread and somehow broke it and shared it with them in a generous, giving manner, opened their eyes that this was the presence of Jesus among them. And not the presence like we would understand, a resuscitated corpse or a physical being, but something present, spiritual, that opened their eyes to a new reality. The truth of this story is what we already experienced, is that there's something about food shared that opens our eyes to others. I asked one of our Sunday school kids after church, how does your family celebrate Easter? And they said with great enthusiasm, we eat a lot. I was hoping for a more spiritual response, but I give extra points for honesty. And that was just a beautiful, honest response. Fair, perceptive, honest analysis. In psychology today, it talks about the three characteristics of an overstressed life. And those three characteristics were eating too much, impulse buying, and driving too fast. And I thought, what stress? That's Saturday night in Grand Junction. What's the stress of that? But I wonder, is there something spiritual about eating? You don't hear about this in church, except maybe, perhaps, someone might introduce such a notion during communion. Is there something spiritual about eating? And if you look in a global context, almost every faith tradition has some type of prayer before food. A reminder of the gift of grace, the gift of life, the gift of what sustains us. And I don't believe it's an accident that marriage proposals often occur during or after an extravagant dinner. It's hard to say no after you've been spoiled a little. And in the world of business, giant companies have been traded, changed, modified, and merged over lunch and 3 martinis. Now, I'm not saying if it was the lunch or the 3 martinis, but this has happened a lot in American culture. The White House, if you study what they do, food is called diplomacy. Isn't that interesting? Food is part of diplomacy. They look for special menus for foreign dignitaries who come to visit. And if they're having any type of negotiations for peace, the foods are carefully designed to suit the taste of all groups present. So there is something oddly spiritual about food that connects to memory, to positive reflections, to our heart strings. There's even an old Scottish proverb from my ancestors that declared, after a good meal, one can forgive anybody, even one's relatives. That's quite a claim considering Scottish delicacy is sheep's stomach and intestine. That's quite a claim for times, a shared meal is an instrument of friendship and inviting people into your circle of light and love. It's the effect of welcoming others into that circle of light and love. To eat with someone in the ancient world was acceptance, and that's why Jesus got in such trouble. He got in big trouble because the religious people noticed that he would eat with tax collectors, with prostitutes, with thieves, with common folks who had no use for religion. And by sitting at their table and inviting them, Jesus was saying, I accept you into my circle of friends. I accept you into the family of God. Well, you can see why that would outrage religious leaders who are used to judging those people who they would consider low-class, hard-living, sinful, non-observant folks. And now this radical rabbi is telling them that they're children of God? How can that be? To respond to being condemned by religious leaders, Jesus tells a parable. And it's a parable about throwing a great big party, a banquet, and you invite your friends, and guess what? They don't show. They don't come. They don't even send a RSVP a campaign. As the parable goes, he tells the servants to go out into the streets and invite the poor, the lame, the rejected, the blind to the banquet table. The religious leaders didn't get that story. They didn't quite understand what he was saying to them. Jesus was condemned because he broke bread with very flawed, common people who were rejected by society. To invite a person to dinner was an invitation to acceptance. His welcome of the rejected brought God's grace into a vivid reality. So, is there something spiritual about food? There is. Even today, if you visit somebody's house, shortly after you're invited and sit down, don't they ask you if you want something to drink? Don't they ask you, would you like a snack? And I'll tell you what's funny. I've had lunch with a church member, and we went out to Subway, and as soon as we got back from Subway, they immediately asked, well, would you like something to drink? Would you like a little dessert? And I'm thinking, I just ate. I'm full. And it's kind of obvious. You can't say that you're not really hungry because they watched you eat a foot-long sub at Subway. But still, they offer a drink, a snack. And what is that about? That's all about friendship. It's not about food. Food is the instrument to invite us into that circle of light and love. That's true today as in the time of Jesus. I mean, I was so impressed on Friday when Ken was here cooking barbecue. And I saw something that I didn't expect to see. 3 different types of sauce that he made. And I talked to him a little bit about North Carolina styles of barbecue. He had 2 different types of North Carolina barbecue sauce. He had the Winston-Salem, which is the more western sauce, and he had the Lexington style, which is more central-based sauce, for our lunch yesterday. He went all out, and he goes all out. And if you want to know the truth, it's not just food, it's his way of sharing love. And that's beautiful, and we appreciate it. So, ancient people often built tables. And those tables were called altars. You get it? The tables were called altars. What is a sacrifice? It's a level of giving, of bringing food. And you see that all across the world. In almost every religion, there is an altar that is a table for food. Particularly true where they would bring all of the crops of the field, but mostly different types of fruit that they would dedicate at the temple. You see it everywhere. In Japan, the Shinto faith, they offer vegetables at the temple altar. In Southeast Asia, Buddhists will bring a large bowl of rice and place it on the altar before Buddha. Now, Buddha's not hungry. He's not going to eat the rice. It is a gift given, an expression of connection. In India, the Sikhs share a special sort of sweet pudding that is purplish that they bring and place on the altar. Every Friday night, Jews ask God to bless their food and their wine for the Sabbath. The most interesting group that I went across were Jains in India who bring coconuts as a part of worship. But what do they have available in their environment? Coconuts as an expression of love, of heart-strained renewal. Often in church we celebrate with sheet cakes. And some of them even have vanilla and chocolate included. That's always nice. Try both. Is there something spiritual about cake? Is there anything holy about cake? And you think about it, and the answer is yes. In spite of these radicals who refuse to have a wedding cake, cake is the symbol, oftentimes, of a celebration. When do you have cake, folks? Birthdays, when else? Weddings, anniversaries, special events, dogs' birthdays, whatever. There is a spiritual connection with food that brings people together. When we think of that sense of togetherness, remember that as we share with others. One of the most fun things I think a person can do, and maybe you wouldn't consider it fun, but I do, is serving food directly to those around me. That just connects my heart to life, to serve food directly to those around me, to spoon it out, to talk to them, to look at them face to face, to be there present and want to help. Jesus taught that the church is God's table. God's table used to bring people together. And that's why it makes no sense for communion to be used to divide or exclude or expel. I do believe that any human being should be told that they are a part of God's family, even if they can't see it, this part of their own evolution. Jesus didn't exclude anyone, even the person who betrayed him. How can we offer any less acceptance and hospitality? Is there something spiritual about food, about eating together? Absolutely. And this sermon is simply to wake us up as those two followers woke up. To be aware that the gifts of love are often expressed in ways